Hey everyone, I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope that you have had a wonderful week. For those of you who are tuning in for the very first time, welcome, welcome. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. We are here live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. For those of you who tune in every single Tuesday, welcome back. And thanks so much for joining again. And for those of you who are watching the replay on Dr. Nikisha Hammond YouTube page, be sure to like the page, share, and subscribe to the page. So welcome, welcome. Thanks for those of you who are joining here. Let me know in the comments where you are tuning in from. And for those of you who are new to Mental Health Moment, I reside in the Tampa Bay area of Florida. Just got back yesterday from Orlando, a long weekend in Orlando, playing basketball mom and at a basketball tournament. But again, welcome, welcome. Thanks for those who are starting to join here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Let me know in the chat where you're tuning in from. Sometimes my comments take a little bit of time, unfortunately, to pop up, but hopefully I'll be able to see them today. And for those of you who are new to mental health moment is all about how do you work on becoming the best version of who you are, right? So you can show up powerfully for yourself and for the people around you. Good evening from Boston. Welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. Um, and and also, just in case you didn't know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So it's so crazy because this is actually the last the last Tuesday of the month, which is crazy. Mental Health Awareness Month here. So I wanted to round out today and just, kind of do a mental health moment to really think about how we can check in with ourselves. Because again, it's so easy, as I always say, to get caught up in everything that's happening in the world or our personal lives or our friends and family lives. And we can start to accidentally neglect ourselves. Hey, from San Francisco, welcome back. But before I do that, before I give you some quick tips, let me share with you all a couple quick announcements, and then I will get my dates here. And then I'll start today's mental health moment. So a couple quick things. One is, in case you have not heard, hopefully, let me see if my comments will go through today. Oops. Mind Reset Challenge. Challenge.com. I think for some reason my text always does not go through to LinkedIn. I'm sorry, LinkedIn. Maybe someone on LinkedIn can type it in, but mindresetchallenge.com. Just as a reminder, for Mental Health Awareness Month, I've been hosting that challenge. Essentially, you go to mindresetchallenge.com. It is a 30-day challenge that you can download. Is absolutely free. You do it on your own for 30 days. It does not take you a lot of time. I know we're all busy, but there's little quick things that you can do to work on resetting, to work on how are you doing mentally, how are you doing emotionally, helping you get back into a calmer state, helping you to get back to a place where you can be thriving, right? And just taking those small steps each day. So again, mindresetchallenge.com is where you can go for that. On okay. Okay. So for those of you who are in the New York area, Friday, June 13th, I will be speaking there. Actually, that is a private event, but I might be at a public event that evening. So stay tuned for that. We'll definitely get that updated soon. But that'll be Friday, June 13th. And then nope, that's private event too. Okay. I'm trying to find the ones open to the public, you all. Well, okay. So let's go to Friday, October 24th. I will be hosting in Atlanta for those of you in the Atlanta area or flying into the Atlanta area that day. It's an all-day event. It is my growth, mindset, and self-care summit. Last year, some of you all attended. It was virtual. This year will be the first year it will be in person. So I'm so excited to meet many of you all. But again, that is Friday, October 24th. So save the date. Tickets are going on sale very soon. And that will be in Atlanta, Georgia. And hi, welcome for those who are still starting to join here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Upper Marlboro, Marilyn is in the house. Welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. So those, I believe, yes, those are my announcements for now. And you can also always go to drnikishahammond.com/events. My team and I are trying to keep that updated as quickly as we can. Sometimes there's just a lot going on. Mental Health Awareness Month, it was a busy month, but nonetheless, that's also where you can go to get updates. So drnikishahammond.com/events. Okay, those are all my announcements. So again, on today's mental health moment, I really wanted you to think about as we round out this month, like, how are you doing? Right? And just have an assessment with yourself. We talk a lot. Good evening to you. Thanks for joining here. We talk a lot about checking in with yourself, but what does that really mean, right? So I would say to you as we round out this month, especially to think about and be honest with yourself, but where are you at? If you had to rate yourself on a scale of 0, like not doing well at all, like the worst you've ever been in your life, or 10, like the best place you've ever been in, you feel amazing, all is great. In the areas of physically how you're doing, emotionally how you're doing, mentally how you're doing, and spiritually how you're doing. If you just take like it doesn't take that long, right? Like take a couple 30 seconds, a minute, just to sort of jot that down for you. Good evening to you. Welcome, welcome. To jot that down for you of how you're doing in those areas and rate yourself. That is a start, right? To just really check in because a lot of times in a lot of spaces, a lot of companies I've spoken to, and a lot of places that I've spoken in with different organizations, I'm talking a lot about burnout prevention because it's a real thing. But the good news is it's preventable for us not to get to the place where we're so stressed out, so burnt out, and we're just shut down at that point. It is a preventable thing. So again, I encourage you to check in with yourself and ask yourself. And again, the important thing when you check in with yourself of how you're doing physically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally is that it's important for you to be honest with yourself because step one, I always share this for those of you who are not new to mental health moment. Step one is really about self awareness. Like we have to be honest with ourselves, even if I am not saying you all to lie to people around you. I'm not saying that. However, the reality is we don't tell everyone everything, right? That's going on in our lives. So even if you weren't completely honest with some people around you about how you were doing, be honest with yourself. Because step one is you have to have the self awareness. If we're talking about change, if we're talking about personal development, if we're talking about mental health and wellness, we have to know how we're doing, right? You have to be checking in with yourself. So that's really step one. And then the next thing is to think about, asking yourself, like, how are you doing as far as are you thriving? Are you in a place where you're burnt out? Are you dreading going to work or, dreading doing certain things that you used to enjoy? Are you nervous about a lot of things that's happening in the world, which is a very common thing if you're at that place, right? Or just feeling very like not as connected with people around you, right? Like those are some of the signs. There's a lot of different signs when it comes to burnout, but just not really feeling connected, not really feeling like you're wanting to do the things that you wanted to do, or maybe it's work related or family or friends or whatever it is. And just being more shut down because burnout really takes a toll on us. And it could lead to a lot of shutdown physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, or a combination of those areas. So, again, make sure that you are checking in with yourself, being honest with yourself, knowing what it is you're even looking for, right? Because we sort of know sometimes we don't actually. Maybe if we're in denial, which is all good. If you're in that place because it's just hard sometimes, but sometimes we know, like you just know you're off. Like you're like, something's off. Like I don't feel the same, right? Like those types of thoughts, maybe that you're having with yourself. That's where it's important to be like, okay, let me let me change something, right? It's important that we change something. And welcome. Thanks for those who are still starting to join here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Today we're talking about, especially Mental Health Awareness Month, you all. It's the last Tuesday of May. Is really to think about, are you checking in with yourself, right? Like, are you checking in? Where are you at as far as thriving? Are you burnt out? Are you stressed out? Are you doing well? Like, right? Because then when you know how you're doing, then you say, okay, let me put these things in place to start to work on bettering myself, right? And so the other thing I want to encourage you to do, even if you're here's a secret. That's what I think. The secret is whether you are doing amazing right now and you're like, I'm at the peak. Hi, thanks for joining here. Whether you're at the peak, meaning like you're just at a really great, amazing place, or you're in a valley where you're like, oh my God, I feel so low. Everything's going wrong. The world around you seems like it's spinning. There's just a lot happening that feels very negative. Wherever you're at, or maybe you're just in between, wherever you're at in this journey, you still need to make your mental health a priority and your wellness a priority. If you're doing amazing, make yourself a priority. If you're not doing amazing, work on taking the baby steps sometimes because it is harder, right? When we're in darker places to be like, oh, I'm just gonna do all these things to change myself. Like that can be really hard to do. But it's not impossible to do. It's just that maybe you might be in a place where you're like, I'm just trying to take some baby steps, which is okay, right? When it comes to self care. Or maybe you're at the place where like, I'm ready to take a leap. I'm ready to do a 180, right? Wherever you're at, all is good. But I want you to think about a couple things. One is think about, hi, thanks for joining here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Um, One of the things to think about is what is it that brings you joy? Right? Like, what is it? And you can put in the comments here. Some of the comments I'm seeing and some I know I'm not. Unfortunately, I don't know why. But nonetheless, you can still put in the comments for maybe your, people in the community on different platforms can see. But when you really think about what is it for you that brings you joy, right? Like, and there's not a right or wrong answer. It's just what is it for you? Hi, thanks so much for joining. What is it for you that brings you joy? Right. So if you get into this place where you're seeing, you know what, I'm really stressed out, I'm really burnt out, I'm really overwhelmed. No, it doesn't make all your problems go away to do things that bring you joy. But if you could just have the pause, if you could just have the pause on the stress, if you could just work on resetting your mind and your body, even if it's just temporary. We talked, I think, a couple of mental health moments ago about like micro moments of joy too, especially when you're in darker phases of your life and it feels harder to do things that bring you the joy. The small amounts of time count too versus not doing anything at all, right? And again, thanks for those who are starting to join here. So making sure that you make that commitment to yourself to find those pockets of joy, whatever that is. If it's music, if it's walking, I love my cups of tea. I love being in nature. Like, what is it? What is it that for you that brings you joy? What brought me joy this past weekend? Well, it brought me a lot of feelings actually. But what one of the things that brought me joy this past weekend, the past 3 days actually, was going to my son's basketball tournament. So we went to Orlando, 3 days of basketball tournaments, you guys. But I loved, first of all, I adore my son. He's 12. But he's amazing. He plays basketball. It gives me joy as his mom watching him do something that he's so passionate about. It's just fun environment. It was at Disney, Wild World of Sports. Like we made a whole weekend out of it, right? And that's one of the things I was like, okay, this is something that's bringing me joy. Also, I mean, I'm a I'm an honorary coach slash referee on the sidelines. I'm just saying. I used to play basketball in middle school and high school too. So, so maybe brought me a little bit of angst, a little bit of stress too. Heart rate, kind of racing a little bit, some of those games. But overall, it was something that brought me joy. Right. Hi, thanks for joining. You're welcome. And thanks so much for joining here. But again, it doesn't have to be a whole weekend thing that brings you joy. It could be something that takes a couple of minutes, something that takes a minute. Drinking cups of tea doesn't take me a long amount of time to do that. Is something that brings me joy, right? So for you, again, thinking about what is it that can bring you joy. The other thing is having moments, maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes a day, where you have a non-negotiable time period that you take a break from screens. And I know it's so funny because I also, oh yeah, someone say inspiration. Absolutely. I know that I get a lot of questions often about kids and mental health and their screen time and all that sort of thing, which is important too. But for us as adults, we need that too. We need those breaks from screen time. So maybe you set out a certain part of your day where you're like, I'm going to take a break from my phone, from TV, from computer, from social media, or whatever. Right. And again, how much time you need, that's up to you. Whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it doesn't have to be. I know some people take like months off of social media. I won't be doing that anytime soon because I love y'all. No. No, anyways, yes, I won't be doing that. However, though, if that's something that works for you, all good. But it doesn't even have to be months and months of time. It could be 5 minutes a time, 10 minutes a time a day, or an hour a week, or however it is that you want to divide that time. But making sure again that you're getting into a space where you're like, let me try to reset. Let me try to recharge, let me try to get some downtime in my life. Someone said inspiration. Yes, absolutely. Hi, thanks so much for joining here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. The other thing I wanted to, well, two other things as I wrap up today's mental health moment. One is understanding too that when you start to, start or continue to set boundaries when it comes to your mental health and wellness, so critically important. Continue to do that. For some of us, we all have different personalities. So for some of us, it's going to take a little bit more practice to really not just set the boundary, but also to honor yourself and whatever the boundary was that you set for you, to continue to understand that not everyone always respects our boundaries. So let's say I know a lot of people, they'll say a certain time of night, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., or whatever time of the night, they'll say, okay, after this time, they're not accepting phone calls or they're not on email or they're not on social media or whatever it is, right? Like they have that boundary for themselves, which may or may not affect other people. And sometimes other people may not necessarily respect that boundary. But where are you at in that process of saying, okay, I need to honor myself, whatever boundary? I'm just giving you an example, but whatever boundary it was that you set for you and your mental health, where are you at in that process, right? And doing your best to try to take the steps towards, again, honoring your mental health, honoring your values, honoring your mental wellness. Those things are very important, right? Extremely important. Hi, thanks so much for joining here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. And the last thing I want to mention as I wrap up here is that we talked a lot today about understanding burnout. Hopefully, again, not getting to that place of burnout, or even if you are at that place of burnout, to work on sort of reversing the effects of it, if you will. Um, Burnout is not, it doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean like, instead of going into this place of shame or going into this place of disappointment or uh, self sabotage and all these sorts of things, I hope that you think of burnout as almost a signal to your mind and body that says, hey, wait a minute, hold up. Like, I need to do something differently. If you are so physically tired and you can't, and there's no medical reason for it because there's a whole bunch of medical things, but there's no medical reason for it, but you're so physically tired because you're so stressed out, that is your body telling you, you know what? You need to do things differently, right? You need to make some changes in your life. Also, if you are so emotionally and mentally drained where you can't find little moments of joy, um, or times when you can be productive, whatever that means for you, if you're working, if you're retired, wherever you're at, right, in your journey, or taking care of others or whatever it is, taking care of yourself, if you're so emotionally and mentally drained that you can't do those things, again, that's your brain telling you, you know what? I need to make some changes, right? So I just want you to think about it in terms of that. Um, oh, you're welcome. I just want you to think about it in terms of that because again, guilt is a real thing, shame is a real thing, embarrassment is a real thing. I think I talked was it last week or the week before about just our inner critic sometimes and needing to work on those types of things, right? Or the self-talk, positive self-talk, those type of things. It's very real. It's very real. Our minds are very, very powerful. So again, if you do get to that place, we all been there before, or you're in there now, instead of telling yourself, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm this, I can't believe I'm that," you tell yourself, "Okay, this is my sign. My body is shutting down, or my mind, or my emotions, or whatever it is out of whack. This is my sign. Let me start to make some changes." Right. And again, sometimes you're making baby steps. That counts too. Sometimes you're making leaps. All good wherever we're at. Um, Thanks so much. God bless you too. So I'm gonna wrap up today's mental health moment. But I do want to remind you again of, let me put it one more time in the chat for those of you who came in a little bit later. Mind Reset Challenge. Oops, Mind Reset Challenge.com. I think it goes, yeah. It never goes through to LinkedIn. I'm sorry, LinkedIn. It always goes through to Facebook and YouTube when I type anything in the chat. But mindresetchallenge.com is where you can go. It's a free download. It's a 30-day challenge for yourself that is really about how do you take like small steps a day to work on, again, resetting, to work on recharging, to work on thriving, to work on paying more attention to your mental health and wellness, right? And getting into a different mindset, because your mindset is very powerful. I think I said that like 399 times on mental health moment, but your mindset is very powerful, you all. You live with your thoughts every day. The things that you're telling yourself, extremely important. The story, we all tell ourselves stories. The stories that you're telling yourself, really important when you take the steps to work on changing those things. Um, so so remember, again, mindresetchallenge.com, to head over there, absolutely free download, start to work on it. And again, it's 30 days, something very short to do each day. And I will be back. I had to think about it. I was like, wait, I will be back. Yes, next Tuesday. I will be out of town, but not on Tuesday. I will be back live again. I love being live with you all. I will be back live next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. So have an amazing rest of your week. Be blessed. And I'll see you next week, guys. Bye.